everyone. My name is Frances Reyes, and I chose to review the New Orleans Public Library System. I used to live in the city of New Orleans, so I absolutely love it. My husband and I talk about moving back one of these days, so I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to review the library branches. I was pretty pleased to see that the NAPL system offers 15 different branches that seem to be widely dispersed throughout the city in Orleans Parish. So they have branches located in Uptown, Midtown, across the bridge in Algiers, which is across the Mississippi. Unfortunately, when I looked on the website at one point, it said that the Algiers location was temporarily closed. Hopefully, that is very temporary and patrons will still have access. So, New Orleans is a very culturally rich and diverse city. It was super exciting to see that they offer an African American resource collection in the NOPL system. They also have, and let me make sure I say this correctly, an equity and inclusion librarian who oversees that collection. And then she also has an associate that helps her maintain the collection, which is really awesome. There's still, unfortunately, a vast education gap between the African American and the white students in the area, even though New Orleans is predominantly African American. So I think that this program with the Inclusion Librarian and Associate, they are really trying to work with the community and resources they have to decrease, if not ultimately eliminate that gap. I found an unfortunate percentage about digital inclusion on their Facebook website that said 80% of households in some of the neighborhoods do not have a laptop or desktop computer, while 79% have no digital access at all, which would absolutely hurt the education and learning possibilities for some of the students as well as adults and so forth. So some of the recommendations I made were for the NAPL system to reach out to maybe local government, state government, and federal government for grant programs and funding, and hopefully be able to get in some laptops for checkout. They do have tablets, they have that availability, and some hotspots as well. So we can basically at some point eliminate that divide. I saw great representation of African American patrons, interns, and staff on their Facebook page. It seems like they are well represented in social media. I think that will continue to inspire young African American children to read and learn in the library. They also have opportunities to look at the history of New Orleans. There are some interesting aspects of history that have certainly gone down that people should be strongly aware of, and some good things that have happened in that area. And I think the library represents that quite well. NOPL is currently working on a 10-year strategic plan, and what they are focusing on in that strategic plan is being accessible and easily used by all people, according to Executive Director and City Librarian Emily Payton. So that means that one of the library systems just opened back up on September 16th. The branch is Nick's Library. They spent a year renovating this historic library, so it's now outfitted with a wheelchair lift, automatic doors, and an accessible bathroom, which is wonderful news. It seems like that should have happened probably a very long time ago, but it has, and that is wonderful. New Orleans does have historic buildings, so they may not all be completely ADA compliant, but hopefully they will eventually get that way. I would have liked to have seen more representation of our Hispanic Latinx community. I didn't see a lot in pictures patron-wise or staff-wise, or any indication that they were represented in this domain. Currently, 9% of the population falls under the Hispanic Latinx category. A lot of Hispanic and Portuguese people moved to the city after Katrina to help with the cleanup. And I think that NAPL could use this opportunity to highlight some of the helpful acts they did to help our city clean up. So, for this issue, I recommended outreach ideas, and those would include contacting some of the community organizers within the Hispanic Latinx community, as well as contacting churches, putting out local surveys, identifying where some of their hubs are, where they might hang out and congregate, as well as immigration services. Also, I recommended a Spanish story time, some basic Spanish classes, and just some general inclusive activities. I was surprised to see that their Facebook page did not mention the Day of the Dead holiday, but they had mentioned other holidays, and I think that this would have been a great opportunity for them to mention that time, as well as books that they would recommend, and possibly have some sort of art type events. The social media site does talk about Native American Heritage Month, and they list some of the tribes that were within the region and what New Orleans was referred to originally. According to tribal terms, I would like to see them highlight each of the tribes. I think oftentimes the indigenous people pretty much get lumped together so that you don't learn a lot about each individual tribe. So I think this would be an awesome opportunity for them to talk about each tribe, where they were located, their culture, and so forth. But overall, I found the website to be extremely user friendly. You could find a lot of the resources easily with the search tab and search the events and so forth. It could just use a little bit of touching up, and I would love to work there one of these days.